We're live.
We are. Where's the camera? Oh, what's up, everybody?
What's up? What's
Thank
up?
you guys for joining.
Wait, let me just move this over here.
It can be something to the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, fixing that mic too. Does it work?
Wait.
I think we're having a slight technical difficulty today. I'm not in my office, so I'm up here. Do I look up here? Yeah, I do. I'm looking at the wrong place, but give us a second, guys, as we get loaded. All right, looking good.
Yeah, we're here. All right. So welcome, everyone. We're gonna get started. We're gonna go over some things today. I know some of us are waiting. I'm gonna wait for some, see if someone comes live for a little bit. Just get tuned in with our weekly lives. So every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we are going live, talk about different topics. And today we have a good topic, I think. It's a very interesting topic about, quarter three, end of quarter three into quarter four, pay debt fast. That's always a concern. So I think that's a conversation that we're looking to have. And yeah, so excited.
And this is just very opinion. Well, a lot of facts, but you're going to have our perspective as professionals in the credit industry. We're really seeing these credit reports, and we're having conversations with consumers across the country every day that are really outlining some of those concerns that they have. And we just find that it's a good topic to talk on because sometimes we have to know we're not going through this alone. We're not the only person who may have been struggling with paying off a credit card, or maybe I have 6 or 7 credit cards. I don't know which ones to pay first, which ones give me rewards, which ones don't. And then also which ones have something called a hardship program, which is huge. And we're going to talk a little more into detail about these hardship programs. But as we're watching the news and, elections coming up and everyone's really rallied up and just feeling how they feel because we're in a situation where Christmas is coming, right? I think we just ended. It was a short summer for me. I don't know if it was a short summer for you guys, but we're just ended the summertime. That means we're taking vacations. We're trying to, go out to nice restaurants, go out to these rooftops. You're going to spend $400 or $500 for a rooftop dinner, but a lot of people are using credit cards to fund that lifestyle. And then we find ourselves ending the summertime, and then boom, immediately school time. We got to buy supplies. We got to, fix the car, so we got to commute. And then on top of it, we have a change in weather, right? Now it's not as sunny. So, and we're in the northeastern part of the U.S., so, in New York, New Jersey area. So those are the real life experiences that we're having. I feel like it happening at the same time. We're having those conversations with our clients, and we just wanted to make a little more awareness that you have options. And the options that you have, a lot of them are at no charge. There's no cost to them. You just have to make a phone call, right? So we're going to help you make those phone calls. We're going to help you make a couple of tweaks to your spending habits, tweaks to your saving habits, see if we can make little things a little bit fun for you guys and keep everything as realistic as possible.
I love that.
And one more thing. We have something that's coming up very soon in her specialty realm. So on top of everything that I mentioned, what else is about to happen very soon?
Oh, student loans are gonna be repayment.
On top of everything. So this is your reminder.
Yes. So if you're not currently paying your student loans, make sure you make payment arrangements for those student loans because it's gonna make a difference for you come October. And the September is the last, I think it's like September 30th, the last day of September is going to be the last time that you'll be in the situation where you can just overlook it and say, oh, it's out of sight, out of mind. Come October, now you're going to have a situation that if you haven't made a payment arrangement, if you haven't made a repayment plan agreement, or some type of deferment plan, you're going to be in a situation where it will show up late on your credit. So we are going to see a dip in people's credit because overall, it's human nature for us to forget things. So a lot of people kind of just been offsetting it and off-putting it waiting for this moment, and they're like, well, I don't need to worry about that because it's been on time this whole time since before, like since the COVID era, and now after this COVID era, it's going to still be. If you don't come up with a payment plan, this will be another bill that will be late on your student loan.
So we just talked about the end of the summer. We talked about paying those cards and those vacation packages off. We talked about students. We talked about our kids going back to school. We talked about fixing the car. We talked about interest rates, and now we have to add student loans onto it.
There's a lot. If you are part of our membership community, we do have a membership community that I will put the link below, so that people can join. It is so important. It's free. If you have a credit monitoring service, we use ScoreTribe. Our clients use ScoreTribe. Highly recommend you to use a credit monitoring service, but it's free with your credit monitoring plan. So there's very little commitment in your part. However, there's a lot of goodies in there of budget tools and things that you're able to get. Why am I mentioning this? It's important that we start breaking down. And I will also link. I'll see if I can link a budget tool on here. It's important that we're having these budgeting techniques to maximize our savings at this time and to budget for expenses that are to come. Some of these tools can be, some people are, Amos is a Google Sheet kind of guy. He loves his sheets. So I will, in our membership community, there is in our
budget sheet
tab, we do have a resource and toolbox. In there, there is some tools that you can use. I think I have the budget sheet in there. If it's not in there after this call, I will definitely put it on there. The budget sheet is there. We have several different budget sheets that will help you guys break down. Everyone has a different way of doing things. So if it's your needs, your wants, a lot of times people have this, concept of, I just want to.
You don't have to do it alone.
Yes, and you don't have.
That's the main thing. You don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, you don't have to do it alone. But if you're not writing it, you're not going to know what you have. That's the biggest part of what I see. A lot of people are like, oh, I just use my checking account. Like, I just use Chase. I use PNC, all these major banks. Great tools, great options. But they tend to not focus on you writing down your daily expenses, right? Or your monthly expenses. What are those bills look like? What are some upcoming expenses that are triggering you that may not be triggering the next person or your partner or your spouse or whatever it is? You need to know where you stand. Like, I know Christmas is coming. We celebrate Christmas. Some people don't. Some people don't give gifts. We do. So for me, I know that I have to start preparing for that now, so that creating my list. What does that list look like? We have to get into that space now so that at the end of December, we're not just shopping on emotion. We've already put a budget on things. We know exactly how much we're spending and just sticking to it. It's okay to say, I'm not going to overspend. I'm not going to overdo it this year. If right now you're in a place where you're trying to achieve your goal.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, that's super important. Now. Yes. Starting now.
Start now.
It's okay. The comment, and Amos mentioned a lot of good things about, there's a lot of things happening in Q4 that is costing you a lot of money. If you have goals that you're trying to achieve for 2025, saving and having your budget in control now is super important. Whether you're looking to buy a house, we know that market of buying a home, a lot of people are worried because they say, oh, the interest rate is much higher than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Again, if you are budgeting and you're saving, or you know where you need to maximize in because you're writing everything down, now you have a plan in place. Most people fail because they don't have a plan in place. So that's really a huge budgeting technique that I feel a lot of people don't do, and it's such a simple thing. And then the other part is using tools. If you are more of an application person, there's wonderful tool Cube. I actually have a Cube card right here,
And she uses it.
right? So I can't show you guys what it looks like, but it looks like a debit card here, right? And you can actually create folders. It's kind of like a digital envelope system. So you guys remember the envelope system maybe you grew up with, where you would put money in each envelope and each envelope had a dollar amount. You can do that. I'll put that link as well. There's and in the same application you can create a goal. So if you're saving for a vacation, if you're saving for a trip, something to look forward to, you can do that with yourself or you can do it with a partner. So all of that are features that
If you have
are
a partner, do it with the partner. It's
yes.
it's it's easier to strategize and budget with a partner. Um, it works, right? Because now you have a free accountability partner, someone who's going to help you commit to the savings plan that you have. And even with just savings, just to throw something on here, right? When you're saving, it's harder for me, I'm not going to lie, for me to take the money out of my account and save it manually or out of my pocket. It's more difficult. So one way I like to save, and it's most effective, is automatic savings. I have my checking, I have my savings, and then I have my savings for accounts, which I usually nickname. I don't
Okay.
know if you guys are into nicknaming your accounts, but I nickname them. If I use, Wells Fargo Bank, you can nickname your savings account. So you have one for emergency fund, or you may have one for such and such. Set a goal, and when you hit that goal, you can alert yourself for that, and you can also alert yourself to let you know that every Friday when I got paid, the money went over to that account. All right, so that's one that I know is I use all the time. And another fun way I save money, actually you already know, two things. I don't spend my coins at all. All right, I don't spend my coins, and that continuously adds and just compounds day in day out. And then I don't spend $5 bills. So I don't spend my $5 bills because it starts to add up incrementally. All right. So those are just a quick tips of making savings a little more fun. And the reason why, again, if we look at right now, just going into the next quarter, we have a situation where uh, the U.S. total credit card debt on average, well not average, in total, is over $1 trillion.
Oh wow.
All right. So it has been increasing and increasing and increasing. That means that either you or your neighbors or your friends or family members have contributed to this overall astronomical number. All right, that has increased quarter after quarter, and now you guys are all paying, 15, 20% on this $1 trillion debt. Think about it.
Wow.
Average credit card, you're going to pay between 15 on the lower end, right, to 30%, 29.9999. You see them everywhere. But on that debt, whoever has those credit cards, guess what's happening? You have to make those payments on there, and it puts you back in a situation where you're spending more to keep in front of the credit card without making a debt because you're trying to pay your minimum payments or you're using your credit card right after you make the payments.
It's
All
true.
right. So that's something to really think about is you're not alone. If you are struggling with that, you are not alone. And one thing you have to do is if you are going to seek the help, ask those questions, right? Ask those questions between you. And a lot of times we don't want to tell our partners that we might have a concern or a struggle, but they will, a lot of times out of love, point you in the right direction. And then we're
Absolutely.
here, right? Find us on social media. You can just add us, also credit, send us a DM. That's a good way to get in touch with someone, from the team. And then from that point, you'll be able to have someone answer those questions or guide you to the right direction.
I
All right. So
agree.
I really want to encourage that because a lot of times we just don't know. I don't know everything.
Oh, a hundred
Okay.
percent. And there's so many options out here. Going to talking about the debt in itself. A lot of times people don't know that there's a lot of people going through the debt situation, and that puts creditors. So when I say creditors, I'm talking about the people you owe money to, right? So if that's a major lending company, a credit card company, a retail store company, whatever, whoever you owe, you're not the only person that owes them, right? So before you run from your debt, I
So run
recommend
to
you,
it.
yeah,
Run to it.
run towards it. right? And I know that sounds crazy, but yes, run towards the debt, right? And what that means is they don't, most of the time they know that the market is not great, as Amos said. It's
Mm-hmm.
the highest debt there's ever been in the United States,
And
right?
just to add on top of that, one not fun fact or stat is
Oh,
90-day late has doubled within the last 2 years. So
wow.
that we have more consumers now who are experiencing 90-day late on their credit, right, than ever before. Once you start hitting that 90-day late, what it is you're starting to get more. Number one, a late payment could drop your credit score 80 points easily, 100 points easily, right? It's very, very possible. Imagine 60 days, 3 90 days. Maybe you were late 3 months in a row.
Oh, wow.
Once you hit a 90-day late, all right, that starts going to those key derogatory states, and now the banks are looking at you. So if you have a credit card, the other credit card companies have a right to continuously check your credit to see how you're doing financially. And if you're going late, guess what's going to happen? You may have something called risk mitigation, where credit card companies may lower the amount of money you have available to them. So you may have maybe getting late on one bank, paying off the other bank, but guess what? The other bank lowered your credit card. And now you're sitting here. Why? Why did they do that? It's because you were late on one. They can always check your information and see how you're doing financially. So it's extremely important to reach out to the credit card companies, ask about their hardship programs.
Yeah.
Credit card company, I'm not making the same amount of money I was making before. I am now commission based. I am now getting a promotion, and I'm not getting whatever the case is. You have to have those very good, very difficult, and remember, it's called a hardship program.
Yes.
Speak to them about it, right?
Yes. If you're not paying them on time and you know you're not going to be able to pay them on time, you're better off going into a hardship program than ignoring it and just pretending it doesn't exist. It's not going to get better, right? It's not going to go away. It doesn't have like this magical spell, like I don't ignore it, it's going to just disappear. Like that's not going to happen. So the best way is to acknowledge, show that you're making some type of working in good faith, right? So you're trying to resolve the issue in however you can, right? And explain to them, because the reality is if you cannot pay off the debt, ignoring the debt isn't going to continue the relationship with them. I know people that have gone into hardship programs, have been able to meet their agreement and contract with these hardship programs, and they've been able to reestablish a relationship in the future with the same company. But if you ignore them, right, there's never a guarantee. Like there are people that say, well, I got them years later after that. Well, that's great, but that doesn't happen for everybody. Like I know someone that they never communicated, and they had I had a situation. They had a situation with the card company, and the card company decided it's been 3 decades, 4 decades that this person hasn't had them, and even like that, even though it's not on their credit, because remember, after 7 to 10 years, the information disappears, right? So it's not like it's on the credit report per se, but this company refuses to reestablish a relationship
Any relationship
with this person. That is insane because it happened so long ago. Like I probably was a child when that happened, right? So that's the amount of time frame, right? So for me, when I see that, people worry only about what's on their credit report, but they don't think about the relationship that they're messing up long term,
Yeah.
right? So just keep that in mind when you're not thinking about the debt, right? Like you can say to somebody, hey, listen, and also for your records, if you are in a position where you cannot pay them, it looks better. There are people that go into judgments of some sort or some type of, legal battle with these companies, depending on the amount of the debt and if it's worth them to fight you in court. And it's always better to say, hey, I tried to negotiate with that company. I reached out to them and told them this is what I could afford. This is where I'm at in my life, right? Rather than somebody that was like, I just completely ignored them and didn't even. I had nothing. I acted like they weren't even there.
And here's also another thing with not even just hardship, right? The goal is to save money. We're talking about budgeting, right?
Okay.
When you want to save money, when you want to save your money, right? The goal is to reduce the amount of money you're paying to other people,
Yeah.
right? You can save that way too. So if I have a goal to save and I'm able to save on interest on credit cards or interest on loans, whatever the case is, you can negotiate it a lot of times, especially if you have a great relationship with card companies. We've spoken to people who have great relationships with card companies, but a life-changing event happened, and they said, you know what, I only have X amount of months before this credit card company will get the money anymore. Well, call them, speak to them. You can negotiate terms or interest rates with a lot of these card companies out there before everything hits the fan. All right. So that is one of the tips to strategize on how to save on your money, but save on those interests is to call them.
Yeah.
Let them know, right? I've had a relationship for X amount of months or X amount of years. Okay. I'm looking at either closing the credit card, you'll be surprised. Like, listen, they're gonna transfer you to the retention department. At the retention department, you state your claim, right? This is what's going on. I have this. I'm not getting points. I want to change my card. I recently downgraded one of my cards. Okay, I didn't find the value in paying the annual fee, so I switched to my card. All right. Now you have the same flexibility in most of these cards out there, and a lot of times when you change the cards, they don't always have to check your credit, right? Some cards are different based on the type of card. But a lot of card companies let them know and ask them, do you have to check my credit? Because you may go from one card that's higher interest and great with points, and you may be able to get another card that is less with points or don't have any points, but phenomenal for balance transfers or something else. You can call the other bank, listen, I want to transfer these balances. They're going to get you an opportunity to even electronically transfer the balances from some of the other credit cards. And guess what? You start saving immediately. You can even add 21. I think Citibank has a card, 21 months with no interest, right? 18 months with no interest. All that money you would have paid, guess what? You're saving it. So now we're talking about saving. We just went from 24%, 29% interest to zero interest every month for the next 18 months. All right. And that's a process you can rinse and repeat depending on how many accounts you have. However, I love paying 0% interest to anybody. And if I like it,
I agree.
I'm sure I know she likes it too.
Right? I love it.
But because don't let her get caught.
And I will say this, and this is something that I find quite often, is that people will want a personal loan. And lately we've been having a lot of clients ask us about the personal loan. And here's the thing. If you're already struggling with your credit and your debt balances, the bank already knows. The creditor already knows. Your credit is already on its way down. That is the truth. Okay? The truth is your utilization tells more about you and your pattern of how you pay. Like there's certain information that just doesn't show up on your credit report. It doesn't mean that the information is not being recorded as data, right? They are able to tell when people are already struggling, and they start to not approve you for things based off of that as well, not just score. A lot of people focus on score, which is so deceiving. It's a big myth, okay? Because a lot of times you'll see people with decent credit scores and they just cannot get approved for the amount that they need. And the reason is because the credit is already on its way down and they can foresee it. So if you're in a position where you're trying to consolidate debt and you're trying to get 0% interest rate credit cards and you're trying to put together debt, they're not going to approve you for, let's say you have two credit cards at 10K each with 20 something percent, right? And you're trying to get one credit card for 20,000. I see this quite often for 0% interest. They are not going to approve you. Let it go. Let it go like Frozen. Let it go, right?
You're gonna sing the song?
Let it go, right? You gotta let it go, right? You cannot hold on to that. And the reason is because the debt, they already know you're at risk. You have maxed out on your credit.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean that you have bad credit. You could be paying everything on time. You could be paying all your installment loans on time. You could be doing all of that, but you could still get declined. And the reason is because they know you're already at your max. So the only way to get approved is to bring down those balances. And the reality is sometimes we have to cut back on certain things, cut back on a lot of other things, maybe find ways to increase our income, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the other part. If your income is not, you can't save your way into being able to afford certain things if you're ready tight.
Do some overtime hours.
Sometimes you need to do it, right? There ain't no shame in it. I'm a big believer in that, right? You have to do it because it's going to give you the leverage to bring down those balances, right? And then when you bring down those balances, now you can try to refinance the debt. You can apply for the 0% interest credit card and start getting approved again.
And one thing you don't want to do is fall into a pitfall when you're trying to save. All right, that brings us to our topic of just avoiding those pitfalls when you're trying to pay off your debt, you're trying to save your money. A lot of times you'll get different things like you may get offers, right? As you're starting to pay off the credit cards, you know you're gonna get offers. Not all of those offers are gonna be the great ones that you need. All right, strategically apply for the right credit cards that you want. Don't be at the cashier line or at Ulta or Sephora, right? And take the credit cards and then take the other credit cards because they give you a percentage off. All right. I'm not saying names here, but it happens. It happens time to time. Trust me, I feel you on it. But resist the urgent temptation because if you're working on, let's say you have a goal for the next 12 months to better your credit, you have to get close to that 12-month mark before you start messing up anything that you've been working on. Okay. And I'm not saying that the credit card applications are bad, but what I'm saying is the credit cards that you apply for have to be intentional.
I agree.
Okay, everything has to be intentional, especially credit. Good credit just doesn't happen. It never just happens. Okay, but if you don't work on it, it will continue to decline. All right, so look at that. Be careful when you're applying for cards. Make sure you do not apply for the wrong cards. And as you start to consolidate loans or get these 0% finances, make sure you don't do what I have done in the past. And while I'm using my money to pay off one card, I went back and used the old card again. Oof. All right. Oof. So now I have a new credit card with a balance that I transferred from the old credit card. And then I went to the old credit card, opened up my drawer, and I said, I kind of want to take that. I want to take that card out. I want to use it today.
But that's the point, right? That's the point. He just did exactly what the bank can foresee, right? The bank can foresee happening. So that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to have a situation. You think they can't see that he has this available credit, and as the debt continues to climb up, right? Because we're not thinking of one individual situation, right? We're thinking about trillions of dollars are going up, right? What are we doing to try to leverage and to control that? Because they already know that you're already falling into hard times, right? And maybe you're not falling into hard times, but maybe you're just living right. Like some people are like, I'm okay. Like I'm not falling into hard times. And that's great. That's amazing. But there's a lot of people that maybe they can afford their lifestyle right now, but they still can't meet their goals, right? There's people that are paying their bills, but they're living paycheck to paycheck. One wrong move and it's out the window.
Yeah.
Right?
You do not want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
Paycheck. And
right?
you need to get that emergency fund going.
Emergency fund.
Get your emergency fund going. 1,000. They talk about 1,000, 5,000. Get your emergency fund. Depending on how your expenses are, it could be 1,000, right? It could be only a couple grand. You really need to have a safety net. Number one, you're gonna sleep better at night. All right, you got to be more confident in the decisions that you make. But without an emergency fund, if something were to happen, you lose your credit cards, they close your credit cards, they restrict your lines of credits, which they can do. They can close a credit card on you, and you still have to pay the monthly payment, and you cannot be late because it will report the same exact way as if it was open. All right, those things right there are real life scenarios or situations that can happen to anybody. You don't know why. Right now, you have more businesses doing bankruptcies than I think the last year or last 3 or 4 quarters in a row, right? So you can see that there's a bit of a strain on the economy, which means companies know that. The big banks know that. And they're going to start looking for people who are showing financial instability. They're going to start freezing, closing cards, or reducing the available line of credit. And it happens overnight. In fact, you wake up and there's just less money available to you.
And the thing is, they're not going to let you know that they're going to lower your balance.
They're not going to ask you.
They're not going to be like, oh, I just want to let you know in 2 months this is going to happen. No, you're going to wake up one day and your balance, your credit limit is going to be less than what you owe, right? So if you have a $1,000 credit limit and one day you wake up and it's 500 and you're like, wait, but I owe you 800, right? That means that your card is over the limit.
Your credit score,
right? Your score's gonna just drop,
destroy your credit
and no one's gonna let you know it. And they don't, and legally they do not have an obligation to let you know.
Yeah. In fact, you signed for it. I don't know if people ever read the disclosure, but it's on there.
I don't know anyone.
It's their credit card. They can do what they want. They can close it. They can do what they want with their money. All right. So just be careful with that last one. When you're saving, get that emergency fund, and then be careful not to fall into one of those pitfalls when trying to pay off your debt. Because I've done it. I'm a human. I've done it.
We all done it.
You know, we've all done it, but we want you guys not to make those mistakes. All right. So you can learn from our mistakes.
Sounds good. Guys, it was a pleasure having you guys on here. If you are watching the replay, watch the replay, share with somebody. Please subscribe to our channel. Have your friends and family subscribe to the channel if you feel like this video is beneficial to you. I am going to put the link to our membership on the description below. We would love to hear more about some of the things that you guys are doing, strategies, things that you feel like that we talked about that maybe was relevant to you, or maybe you have a question. We will definitely answer any questions that we see pop up in our videos. And definitely catch us for the next time. We will be live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and we will be covering different topics.
So like, right? Subscribe, right? I'm getting it right.
Like, subscribe, and share.
Follow. And if you have any questions additionally, you can definitely find me at the credit. In fact, I had someone reach out to me, which is exciting. For a new channel, we had some engagement. You know who you are. Great. Thank you for that, for those questions. And then
so that's the Credit Maven. I'm E.B. Stevens on my personal brand channel, and on Alto Credit at Alto Credit. You can always ask us questions. You can DM us, and we will get back to you.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Good luck.